Hi, everybody. So I'm Linda Nichols, and this is me here on the slide. Actually, all the turtles on all the slides are my patients, so I can talk about them later too in more detail. So I'm an in-home rehabber. I'm licensed in the state of Virginia. I rehab about 200 animals a year. Most of those are herps. The majority of them are eastern box turtles. But also, my actual real job is working in tech, and I've been in tech for about 25 years. And so I'm a bit of a tech geek, and that's going to kind of play into this presentation a little bit. So there are some very unique challenges with housing turtles for rehab versus pets or maybe like hobby housing. And one of those things is we want to respect the natural history of the animals and their unique requirements, but we also have to consider what they came into rehab for, the injury or illness, and how we house them. So, for example, if we have an animal that came in, let's say from a vehicle strike, and it has a shell fracture, then I can't put that animal in substrate. I need to have a sanitary environment with no contaminants to, possibly get inside of that wound. Also, I can't really have like traditional overhead heat lamps because if this animal has any mobility issues, it could get stuck under a lamp and that could also cause an issue. Which kind of leads to another issue, which is that I'm mostly rehabbing these animals by myself with a handful of volunteers, and these animals need to be monitored very consistently. We need to have eyes on them all the time to look for behavior changes or sudden changes in health, and it could be kind of a life or death situation when we're thinking about animals that are in rehab. So these are some of the improvements that we've made in the last year to kind of try to think about some of those challenges. And so one major change we made was that we started maintaining a consistent temperature in the entire rehab area. So instead of thinking about each individual enclosure or box that this rehab animal is in, the entire room is kept at a constant 83 degrees and maybe 60 to 70% humidity. And we're doing that with underfloor heating. So, first year of rehab, we probably had 20 heating pads around and overhead lights. And there was a lot of consideration for, not only the animals and the temperature they're being kept at, but also possible fire. And so the underfloor heating actually maintains kind of a moist heat, and then automated misters and also the humidifiers just kind of keeps that humidity. And so the animals, all of the animals that are in the room are just kept in a comfortable spot. Also, we installed a lot of cameras. So we have overhead dome cameras, individual cameras on the various terrariums. So for like the overwintering hatchlings, and all of these cameras are now being monitored by a custom AI system. That's what I'm going to kind of spend the rest of this talk kind of digging into. Is kind of the geeky part of this. So this is the, and I'm going to learn how to use the pointer. There we go. And so here on the right, I have one of my rehab areas here. And this is one of the overhead dome lights. And you can see here the eastern box turtles that are in this enclosure. And so the system is running. So this is an app that I built that runs every 10 minutes. It taps into the cameras and it grabs a snapshot. And then it takes the snapshot, it sends it to the machine learning model, and then it comes back with an analysis of what's happening at this point in time in the snapshot. And so you can kind of see here on the left, this is the exact response that comes back from AI in kind of this JSON format with the different attributes that I care about. And so overall well-being, if all of these, are generally false, then okay, the turtle well-being is good. And then there's some kind of notes there about, what the AI thinks about my habitat. And because because AI kind of can be unpredictable at times. Sometimes it thinks my habitat's great. Sometimes it tells me that it looks overcrowded and that my patients could be stressed. So here's an example of when the AI is detecting a distressed event. So here, if you look right here, this turtle, it looks like she tried to enter the water dish and she flipped herself over. And within that time frame in which the system was reaching out, grabbing these snapshots, it happened to capture this turtle that was carapace up. And so because that's one of the things that I'm looking for, it sees carapace up a true, the well-being now of the entire room is considered to be distressed. And then it also has some notes there about what it thinks about this turtle in the carapace up position. So I'm not gonna get too deep into the tech, but I know some people are interested, so I'm gonna kind of like go a little bit under the covers here. So the app itself that I built is running locally. So it's running on a computer at our house. It's using the Gemma 3 machine learning model, which is a portable model. It's meant for being run locally on a computer. It's based on the Google Gemini model. Just because it's portable, though, does not mean it's not powerful. I'm not fine-tuning these models at all. When I send the snapshot to the machine learning model, I'm sending that snapshot with a prompt. And that prompt, there is a little bit of prompt engineering going on there where I'm telling the model, hey, you're a turtle expert. You're looking at a rehab facility. There are turtles in the facility. These are the things I need you to look out for. But just kind of out of the box, this model knows what a turtle looks like, and it knows the difference between carapace up and carapace down. The other thing to notice here, though, this is that it does say eggs present true. And that's because there's like a couple pieces of cuttle bone that is broken off in here. And so the AI thinks that those are eggs. But if you look at the image, even from the human eye, might say like, okay, those look like eggs. So it's not, it's a feature, not a bug. So also, if there's a distressed turtle event, I'm also sending an alert through Twilio, which is just a third-party SMS application, to WhatsApp with a turtle event, essentially. And so even since I've been at the conference here, I've gotten 2 turtle events because my little overwintering, Head Start hatchlings decided to have an aggressive event in the water dish over a mealworm. And then also one of them ended up carapace up because they got into an argument. And then as I'm texting my interns frantically, hey, one of the hatchlings is flipped over, you need to get over there, he flipped himself back over. But I mean, typically, if I'm at a conference like this, though, I'm not looking at the cameras. I have interns going over a couple times a day and checking. But this is the kind of event that might get missed if I'm not getting immediately alerted. And so on the right here, I have some of the events that I care about. Obviously, this carapace up positioning is one I care about a lot. In rehab, I have turtles with missing legs and uneven shells, and they flip themselves over pretty easily. And that's obviously a fatal event if they stay flipped over long enough and they aren't able to flip themselves back over. Um, Laying eggs is kind of a new one this year, especially with the turtles I overwintered. They came in gravid. We didn't know they were gravid. And then about halfway through the winter, they were like, we like it here. It's nice. The food's good. Let's all lay our eggs. And so with some of them, I didn't always get to check on them soon enough. And then maybe they moved the eggs around or we didn't have a proper nesting spot for them. So that's kind of a new one that I'm working on with the AI. Here in the bottom right too, occasionally you have, this is a female Easter box turtle. She has bright red eyes, which I think is super cool, but she also liked to Kool-Aid man through the enclosure walls frequently. And so this is something here also that I might be looking for. So what's next? So yeah, we're improving every single year because I'm constantly trying to improve the quality of the care that these turtles are getting in rehab and get them healed faster and back out to the wild as soon as possible. And so I want to now monitor for more species. Right now, the prompts I'm sending AI are very turtle specific. And so I think I could do better with more data about the specific species it's looking at. Certainly, my toads get into a lot of trouble too, and so it'd be nice to monitor them in a smart way. My aquatic species, we had started a lot of diamondback terrapins. They also like to get themselves flipped over and stuck under things inside of their enclosures. Um, and also too, just for sound, and this really kind of applies to the frog species. We had a squirrel tree frog this past winter, and about 2 a.m. we thought there was a Doberman barking in the rehab room, and it was a squirrel tree frog, and so that would have been an interesting problem for AI to solve. And also just more cameras, like better quality cameras, more cameras on every enclosure. And also, I think too, just trying to keep the cost low. I mean, as I mentioned before, with everything running offline, this is basically a free-ish system. And from a conservation standpoint too, because I'm not sending this data up to ChatGPT, because I'm running this model locally and I'm sending the data to it locally, then I'm not using this additional electricity. And so that's, of course, important in the bigger picture. Okay, and that's everything, and I am ready for questions. Yeah. All right. We definitely have time for some questions, so feel free to pepper Linda with any queries you have about her AI modeling. All right, we got one at least over here. Thank you. We probably could have asked you later, but I figured I'd ask. That's for the crowd. I am not tech savvy. I guess it's a nice way of saying that. Is this software that you're putting together something that a non-tech savvy person would be able to utilize? Yes, with help from a friend. Okay. So my intention is to open source this. And so that's something I'm going to try to get to. It is obviously peak rehab season. And so I'm hacking away at this while I'm also doing the animals. So my intention is to open source this, and then kind of with the help of a friend, you could get it set up. But I mean, it can run on a laptop. So I could, with the help of a friend, get this running on a laptop and get the alerts and then basically set it up to your WhatsApp. Cool. All right. Any more questions? We still have some time. Any other questions for Linda? All right. What is the average initial and running cost of the AI program roughly? So yeah, right now it's not costing me anything. It's costing me electricity to run my laptop and our internet bill. But everything, I mean, the models are open source and you download them and you run them. I mean, I don't want to get too tech deep into this, but basically they're all just running kind of as web servers on my laptop. So right now it's nothing. Yeah, and so it's pretty good value for nothing. All right, we're going to take one more quick question. I'm just curious how long it took you to train the model to recognize all those different behaviors. Yeah, so no time. So I'm not fine tuning this model at all. It's straight Gemma 3 out of the box. But what I am doing is prompt engineering. So it did take, probably days to just keep trying different prompts with the snapshot. So it's a multimodal model. So you can send it, sound or image along with text. And so it did take a little bit of time of sending different text for it to understand. And sometimes too, it was coming back with a little too much information or not enough, or like I said, it was too focused on criticizing my setup versus looking at the turtles themselves. So yeah, more so prompt engineering. So yeah, I mean, with fine tuning, I could do more, but I'm also just trying to keep this free. And so, I don't have a PhD friend. So, basically this is staying pretty cheap and pretty good value. Thank you, Linda.